Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of RegAlytics. I'm here with my hoarse voice from celebrating last week with my in-laws. So happy 50th anniversary to Cary and Jan. And I'm here to give you an update on this week's 20,008 regulatory alerts. But first, I'm going to brag. Yeah, so Werner was asking GPT a question about where to get a comprehensive list of regulators, and it answered the question saying you can go to us.gov, which gives U.S. agencies. Then you can go to different national associations that combine sectors, for example, the North American Securities Administrator Association, or you can get it from RegAlytics, LexisNexis, or Thomson Reuters, and note which company name came first. That's right, RegAlytics, 8,000 agencies on our front end, 16,000 on our back end, and we can now ask it questions like, how do I import honey into South Korea? And it gives you an answer. Let this be a lesson to all of you. Never give up, even when everyone thinks you're crazy. And by the way, how about that election, huh? So we have most likely all branches of the U.S. government under one party rule. And you know what that means? That means everything's going to change. And how exactly you're going to stay on top of those changes? Might I suggest a subscription to RegAlytics? I feel a little bit like I'm in the movie Ghostbusters, where we've been staring at the phone, doing cold calls, pushing along our sales, and then it's like a bell went off and a ghost got loose in the New York Public Library last week because the inbound requests are coming in hot. Law firms, general counsels, banks, it's actually pretty great. So, and to think I almost sold the company this summer. All right, well, enough of the bragging. Happy belated Veterans Day, and thank you to all of you who have served. The regulator of the week is the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. There were 33 alerts in the last 7 days. 9 of them were very similar consent orders against exercise franchises, so like gym franchises and yoga franchises and Stretch Lab, for example. And all of them were fined $450,000 for failures in franchise disclosures. So I'm not sure what happened, but it was a pretty big sweep. 2 of the alerts were desist and refrain orders for crypto companies that were spoofing real registered crypto brands and trying to steal money from customers. That, unfortunately, is a pretty common weekly occurrence. 3 of them were associated with the DFPI's revocation of BlockFi's lending license, which is not too surprising since BlockFi declared bankruptcy. The rest were activities on 6 different rules, and maybe 5, maybe 6. We've talked to the California DFPI, and I told them that their website was pretty darn confusing, and they said they're changing it. And I'm just going to say I'm really looking forward to that change, because California alone is hard enough to understand, but being one of the top 2 state regulators on financial services, it really should be easier. So anyway, share this with any friend that is operating any sort of financial institution or fintech in California. Number 1, Pro 1-21 has been formally enacted, and it becomes effective February 15th of 2025. It has to do with consumer protection and financial products. If you are in fintech, go read it. It outlines all the rules for all types of weird lending, student lending, payday lending, etc. The second, Pro 01-22, is in the comments letter stage, and it's on the topic of crypto asset related financial products and services. There are 33 letters, including from Dianne Feinstein, walking through what they like and don't like about this proposed rule. If you're in crypto, go read it. The third, PR 02-21, is also in the comments letter stage, and it's on the topic of commercial financial products and services. If you're in fintech or any sort of financial institution, go read it. The fourth, Pro 03-21, is also in the comments letter stage, and it's about the process for consumer complaints and inquiries, which means if somebody complains to the DFPI about you, this is how the process is going to work. And this one has by far the most comment letters. The fifth one is Pro 07-24, and it's a request for comments. It explains a bunch of the rules I just mentioned above and said, hey, now that we're pushing rules for all these companies above, we're curious, who else do you think we should regulate? I wonder if they'll get any comment letters from people saying, no one. Like, no, you're good. You got us all. The last one is actually a rejection. So all of the DFPI's rules need to be approved by the California Office of Administrative Law. The DFPI proposed a rule regarding registration and registration fees, and it was shut down by the OAL because it wasn't clear enough about how you go about applying. If this makes you think you don't need to pay for registration fees, well, think again, because it just means the DFPI was going to revise its rules to be clear. And I read it and I kind of agree with the Office of Administrative Law. The rules are clear as mud. And there are phrases like, you have 60 days to reply, but there's no clarity on when the 60 days start. It reads a little bit like a high school term paper that has been brutally corrected by the teacher. The topic of the week is proclamations. Every week, there are a ton of proclamations. And this week, there were 25. Sometimes it's just silly, like, we proclaim it National Jeans Day, the day we wear jeans. This week, of course, there were a number of lovely Veterans Day proclamations, but there were a few I did notice that caught my eye. So one, President Biden wrote a lovely proclamation to honor Kamala Harris for running an energetic and historical presidential race. He also proclaimed November to be National Family Caregivers Month to commend those of us working on caring for aging parents and ill family members. And I thought, that's nice. There are a lot of us out there right now dealing with caring for family, and I know it's not easy. You know who you are, so the president sees you. And last but not least, he proclaimed November to be National Entrepreneurship Month. And I have to say, don't do it. Not unless you have to. And some of us, well, we're literally crazy. So we have to do it. And sometimes if you stick to it, you fight and you survive, you might come out the other side okay. And that's it this week for RegAlytics. We have the global supply chain of the world's regulatory alerts in one very easy to use place. If you need a solution to anything related to regulation, give us a call.